Today, the California Department of Public Health announcing that raw milk is to blame for at least 11 illnesses in the state. Just last month, raw milk and cream products from a California based dairy called Raw Farm were recalled after samples tested positive for bird flu. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has now announced that it will begin testing raw milk stored in dairy silos across the country. Raw milk is milk that has not undergone pasteurization, which is the process of heating milk to remove disease causing germs, yeasts, molds, and other harmful microbes, according to the CDC. Joining me is Yale Associate Professor of Public Health, Dr. F. Perry Wilson. Dr. Wilson, thanks for taking the time to talk with us about this topic that I think increasingly people are really interested about. First off, just talk to us about the kinds of illnesses that we are seeing in this particular case.
Sure, absolutely, and thanks for having me, Brianna. Milk inside a cow's udder is actually sterile. Where these bacteria are coming from is from the skin of the cow, from the machines that take the milk away and store it, from the environment that they're in, which is often not clean. And we see diseases like Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, all bacterial diseases that affect the GI tract. And in people who are susceptible, like young children, older adults, and people with immune compromising conditions, some of these can be fatal.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty serious. I was surprised to learn that experts estimate before pasteurization was adopted beginning 100 years ago, roughly 25% of all disease outbreaks in the US were actually milk-borne, just a staggering number. And yet recently you're seeing the popularity of raw milk and raw dairy products surging. It's got high-profile fans, including President-elect Trump's choice to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr. So what benefits of raw milk have people ignoring those risks that you outlined?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite baffling. Pasteurization is one of the greatest public health advances of the past 2 centuries. It's probably on the order of benefit that we see with like sanitation of water supplies. This is people were dying of tuberculosis from raw milk in large numbers prior to the advent of pasteurization. Now, currently, the risk of infection is still relatively low. Most people get away with drinking raw milk, like most people get away, driving without a seatbelt in their car. The problem is that sometimes you don't. And when you get in that accident, when you have that infected bottle of milk, you're going to wish it was pasteurized. You're going to wish you were wearing your seatbelt. In terms of benefits, scientifically, there really are none. There's no proven benefit. This seems to be driven a lot by hype and what we often refer to as the naturalistic fallacy. The idea that because something is somehow more natural, more direct from nature, it is healthier. In this case, this is just really not true.
So Raw Farm, for instance, which was the supplier I mentioned there of the milk that's been recalled, touts on its website, quote, bioavailable vitamins, minerals, enzymes, beneficial bacteria, naturally occurring CLA and omega-3 fatty acids. And when people read that, it sounds pretty good. So what do you say to people who they have distrust in the food industry? And certainly there are examples that I think you might look at and say, okay, I understand why you may be a little skeptical, but these are folks who may be won over by a description like that.
I mean, much of it is pseudoscientific nonsense, for lack of a better phrase. The truth is, milk, all kinds of milk, is quite healthy. It does have vitamins and good fatty acids and things like that. The process of pasteurization, all it is, this is not ultra processing of food and making nacho chips. This is heating milk to 161 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. That's all it is. It's enough to kill the bacteria that's in there. Some people say, oh, but what about the good bacteria? Well, first of all, as I mentioned, the milk that comes out of the cow is sterile. There aren't good bacteria either. And if you want those probiotic bacteria, we've got great ways to get them. You can take pasteurized milk, and people culture that using known bacteria, and they make things like yogurt and other forms of cultured milk products from pasteurized milk, and you get all the benefits of healthy milk plus these probiotics. So there are ways to do this, but saying that pasteurization is doing anything to decrease the nutritional value of milk is really not based in science.
So the USDA getting involved like this, announcing that it's going to begin testing raw milk stored in dairy silos across the country, is that going to be enough?
Well, to my knowledge, their main focus is on the H5N1 virus, which has infected, millions of cattle across the country, and we're all in the public health field sort of holding our breaths, waiting to see if this will actually cause significant disease in humans. And so, to the extent that humans are consuming raw milk that may be infected with H5N1, that could be a major public health concern. Some raw milk companies report that they are testing their milk for bacteria, which is great if people want to look for that, but they are not required to, and not all farms do that.
That's a very important note. Dr. F. Perry Wilson, thanks for being with us.
Anytime.